3, 2, yeah, there we go.
If belligerents could be personified, it would look much like an orc. They are dim-witted but adaptable, with dense hides that protect them from harm, and thick skulls that protect them from the perils of philosophy.
Okay.
Do you know how tempted I was to change that to much like an Ed?
Yeah, I was going to say,
I
so
was changed.
first of all, what are you getting at? What are you getting at? Second of all, I'm so annoyed because when you said belligerent, I was like, oh, it's me. And then you started to call me a dick. We are here. We're back. Old World Cthulhu says, who's back from where? Well, Lewis is gone, actually. Instead of being back, he's the opposite of back. He's gone. So that's cool. No, now he's back. There we go. That was how the episode's going to work. Lewis is now back and the title fits. No, we're back after a brief hiatus, not a planned one. Someone had some home improvements going on that they hadn't necessarily been aware of, and the time that they were going to happen. So there just wasn't a podcast about, what was it, 2 weeks ago is the one that we missed?
2 weeks ago now, yeah. I literally came back from work to find my PC set up in a different room under a pile of stuff as a decorator. The decorator had come into the study and was doing his thing.
Yep.
So I was like, Ed, I'm terribly sorry, but we're not going to be recording a podcast today.
I got like 24 hours notice, which is a super acceptable amount of time, to be fair. Like, to be entirely fair to you, I was told in a reasonable amount of time. So, first of all, we're back on the podcast. Second of all, Lewis is back with his camera on. Third of all, Lewis is back in his actual room, although the angle is different. You know, have a different background instead of the blurry no background that he had before. Fourth, I'm back in the country because I was with the Dutch Lions this weekend at the WTC Open in Melle at Hotel Ornesbroek. I believe I'm saying correctly. I will be doing a full video. I filmed a lot, so I should be able to do like a vlog style video, which is something that I've wanted to do more of, but you need to do something that's like exciting enough to be worthwhile. Like, I'm not going to record just a normal TSN Arena event because the vlog would start. So I roll out of bed at 9:15, I have a quick shower, and then I travel down the road. It takes me 7 minutes to get there. Like, that's not a great way to start off a vlog. So we've got that. Maybe I'll have to do one for the Masters, because the Masters invites have gone out. I have been invited. I'm assuming I'm going. I just need to make sure that I can actually afford to, because the turnaround on when you've got to buy the tickets is actually quite tight. I believe it's like the 17th or something, which objectively I was aware of, but in a much more real sense, I was not thinking about at all. And also, I have just travelled abroad, and while almost all of my costs were covered, thank you so much to the team for having me. I'll, talk about that more later. There were some other costs that were incurred. Like, I decided to get a hotel on the Thursday night, so I wasn't going to risk pissing about and missing my flight. Didn't need to worry, it was delayed by 3 hours, so that was great. But again, talk about that more later. But yeah, and also it's December, and people are, telling me that they're having to cancel for winter because they haven't got the time or money to do coaching over the Christmas period, which is super reasonable. So tell you what, this is a good time to plug. If you're interested at becoming gooder at the game, now is a fantastic time to do so, because I've got loads of time on my hands, and I'm available for coaching sessions. You can go to patreon.com/close order, and we'll talk about it more again. But Remy, one of my coaching students, was the highest performing person at the entirety of the WTC Open. Out of a total 100 points, we could have scored him. He could have scored, sorry, not we. He managed to get 91, which is incredible. I think the next highest person was 78. We didn't even put him into that good matchups. Like, on a scale of 1 to 6, I think we put him into 2 4s, 2 5s, and a 2. So he absolutely bodied it. Really, really impressed. Really proud of what he managed to pull off. And I'm going to take a small amount of credit for that. And say,
sounds like triple congratulations are in order now, Ed. Qualifying for the Masters, coaching Netherlands, and having one of your coaching teams players do the best in the entire event. So if I was being nice to you, which I'm not because you're a knob, I think done very well over the last few weeks.
Yep.
I'm not entirely sure that's linked to my absence or not, but with Headspace away from me, you suddenly do really well at all these things.
I don't want to blame you for my general terrible run in life right now, but it might actually be your fault. That's a good point. We should have a chat about this off stream, maybe when I can physically assault you.
Going wrong after today.
Yeah. Amy says, "Congrats for surviving." Thank you very much. I really appreciate the donation there, Amy. I did survive, and funnily enough, I was a little worried about dying at multiple points, mostly just because I haven't flown, I think, in 20 years or so. And I was like, man, sure, I don't have like a blood clot or something that goes to my brain. So the first flight, like especially the ascension, I was like, well, it's too late to panic about it, but it would suck if I died. And then the second flight I got to enjoy a little bit more because I was like, well, I didn't die on the way up. Although I did look out the window at one point, and in the wind, the wing was going like... I was like, no, the wing didn't do it. The wing did not do that on the way out. The first pilot really inspired me with confidence. He was a very suave Dutch man. He even wrote a poem in Dutch because it was a holiday on the Friday when I flew out. I think it's St. Nick's Day, or translated into Dutch, I believe. And then the pilot on the way back, and this is not a knock against people with speech impediments, but did have a lisp, and I didn't see him. So the combination of not seeing a very suave Dutch man who sounded very calm and collected at all times made me a little less comfortable when I looked out the window and saw that the plane was doing things that I had not previously experienced, which is turned into a wild, wavy, wacky, inflatable arm man. Did make me go, I'm going to stop looking out the window. This will be fine.
Going on?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, very, very nice for the team to fly you out first class as well, Ed. How was your experience?
No, they did. That was a cost that I incurred. We can talk about all of the fun add-ons, and there's no point in me saving them for the video. So they booked my flights, which is incredibly generous, and I shared a hotel room while I was in Melle, and other expenses as well, which was fantastic. And I was driven to the venue, all of that good stuff. Hold on. Callum says, "Tell Lewis's mum to ignore the flowers I sent because I thought he died."
She said thank you anyway. She didn't know why they had appeared. But
she assumed it was for the no, never mind. I'm not going to make that joke. There was a significantly more off-color joke that I was going to make, and I was like, I actually don't know anything about your parents. I'm not comfortable making this joke just in case there's something that like horrendous that I don't know. So we're going to move on quickly. But thank you very much, Callum. Much appreciated. And the flowers were lovely as well. I saw them when I visited. moving on. What was I saying?
I wasn't expecting my mum to be taking strays during this.
I'm deliberately not responding to that in a juvenile manner. I'm going to make no more comments on the subject. So one of the things that I did do was I paid myself to upgrade my flights, not to business class because that's really expensive, but it was only about €15 to upgrade to the extra leg room.
Economy, baby.
Yeah, the bit like next to the row where all the emergency exits are. So I was by the window for like €30 total, upgraded there, and that was definitely worthwhile. On the way out, I got to look out the window and marvel at the clouds and be like, oh, it's forbidden cotton candy. It looked delicious. I genuinely, I think, like, despite my plane being delayed for 3 hours, and we don't need to go into that here, I'll talk about it in the video, but it was impossible to be in a bad mood, having not flown for 20 years and just be like, man, like, this is pretty impressive to look out over. Everything looks at toy scale. It's great. I thought I might be, just worryingly dead inside, but flying and seeing the sights did spark some level of joy in me. So I've still got a few years left in me yet before my soul has crumbled completely to dust. And then on the way back, the flight was unbelievably packed, and the last person got on, and I knew that the gates had closed a minute or so before. There was an empty seat next to me. It's like, oh, amazing. And the cabin crew said, we're just waiting on 4 more passengers. And I went, for fuck's sake. And they read off the names, just in case they were already on the plane and they wanted to double check that they'd somehow missed them. And one of the people they were waiting for was Emma Stone, who didn't turn up. And also was probably not that Emma Stone, I'm assuming. But what that means is, after 2 more people got on and then walked right past me, I just had an empty seat next to me. So I had loads of leg room and I had a spare seat. I think every other seat on the plane, apart from like one other, might have been filled. So I was feeling very fortunate. And that alone was worth the cost of upgrading my tickets.
You have absolutely nailed flying there. You've just totally completed it, mate. Empty seat.
Don't need to do it again.
Upgrades. Happy days.
Yeah, the tea was pretty okay. They come round with drinks, which I was like, oh, that's big brain. It's so give everyone a small drink, and then people swallow. It'll equalize the pressure, and not in the cabin. Obviously, that would be some weird pseudoscience. But the pressure in the sinuses, where you've gone up. So I was having I was like, oh, that's what a smart little idea. And then I was enjoying my very mediocre tea, but it came with enough creamer, like dried creamer and sugar to be palatable, despite being objectively terrible. But yeah, anyway, that was some of the things that happened to me. How have you been for the last month?
I've been very well. My life seems to be much less exciting than yours has been on the Warhammer front.
Mine has been pretty exciting, yeah.
But I think, the last time we spoke, we've just come off the Saffron Slam Teams event, which was obviously a great success, and you were still recovering from having streamed for like 6 hours on 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
I have played some Old World, given that's what we're actually here to talk about it, other than aeroplanes.
Are we?
I have played some Old World on the interim, which has been very good. And I have been scheming about some of these new items that are going to be common to everybody in Raising of the Westerland, which I'm very much enjoying. Mm-hmm. And I've been working on my Cathay Sentinel as well, which is, as all reports have been suggesting up till this point, it does definitely including every single model, even the Forge World models I've ever built before, one of the worst models to try and put together in the world. But it's done now. It's starting to be painted, and it's starting to look good again, which I'm very much excited for that to be finished and me to never have to build another one again until I decide I need a second one.
Yep. That's fair.
Start grounding eBay for one that's already been built.
There were like 1 or 2 Sentinels at the WTC Open, and no one was using the actual models. They were all just using like 3D printed proxies. Maybe there's something in there. But glad to hear you've had an okay run of it. I am, of course, flying my my new favourite Warhammer shirt. Look at that. It's got my channel name on. It's got the symbol of the Dutch Lions, which also just works for England. We've got the Netherlands flag. We've got the British flag as well. It's a great one. Big fan of that. Tulkush, did I fall for a clickbait title? No, not at all. We missed a week, and I'm back in the country, and Lewis's camera turned off. All of the above things. The first 2 are more what I was referring to when I made the title, but we are back from being not here. I haven't really. Good to see you all, everyone here. Martin said hi to Old World Cthulhu. Richard's here as well. What rules would you give to the trio of dinosaurs from We're Back? Do you know that? Is that a reference that
went over my head. I was hoping you weren't going to
We're Back, a dinosaur story. I have never seen this. Is this Disney? Tells the story of 3 dinosaurs and 1 pterosaur who travel to the present day and become intelligent by eating a brain grain cereal invented by scientist Captain New Eyes. I think I know what I need to do. Oh, it's Spielberg. It's an animated Spielberg film. I might have to watch this. This sounds either terrible or amazing.
It could be one of those films that's so bad it's good. Like, what's the one with Samuel L. Jackson getting eaten by a shark in it? Deep Blue Sea.
Okay.
So bad, actually quite good.
Fair. I haven't seen that either, but that one, I don't know. That doesn't spark joy in me.
It was Samuel L. Jackson stood on a boat giving a classic Samuel L. Jackson speech, proper going for it, and then midway through the speech, the shark just comes up and eats him. And that is Samuel L. Jackson's cameo in that film. Probably lasted all about 30 seconds, which I assume is all the directors could afford of Samuel L. Jackson's time.
So yeah, it's a good place to put the budget. What else we got? Dark just says, I have a question. Are you guys playing with the square base points for the legacy armies? I don't know how common that is. I've played some games with them. I haven't gone to a tournament with them yet. I'm meant to be going this weekend, but I actually don't know that I'm going to be able to manage to just get my shit together and be available for this weekend. Unfortunately, I'm feeling the burden of things, not the coaching, but just other things. I'm struggling to get everything done that I need to. Brian says, "Are we so back?" I guess we're relatively back. Here in the UK, we don't really go for that level of enthusiasm. So back is too back. I think it's fair to say. I think we're moderately back. Yeah, we're back-ish. Is probably all
we
I
have
can
shuffled
say.
back into frame.
Speaking of shuffle, Ian P. Shuffles is here. Good to see you, Ian. I hope you're doing well. New phone, who dis? Have you been living under a rock? Reveals today, says Shoal. No, sorry. I in no way did I intend to make it seem like there was Warhammer news for our title. It was literally just 2 pictures of us with "We're so back" or "We're back" or something. You know what? I actually might have put "We're so back" on the thumbnail. I'm going to double check. Oh, I did. Oh, after I just said that we're not that excitable. I was a liar. A liar and
I see. We're so back.
fiend.
And World Championship Cathay reveals.
Yeah. Anyway, Anthony's here. Good to see you, Anthony. Ian's critiquing my use of the English language. I've been on the continent, mate. I've been learning to speak good, and I've been having some nicht gut Brot, some very disappointing bread when we went to an American imitation restaurant after WTC in Germany. I tell you what, let me just tell that story. So we went in, and there were some people who sat there who weren't causing any issues, but were either bikers or neo-Nazis. Now, given that it's Germany, I am actually leaning more towards they were bikers, because I think out of all of the countries that are falling to right-wing populism, I feel like Germany's probably not that high in it, and I could be wrong. I'm not necessarily that politically aware, but given the history, they've done pretty well at not having Nazism in Germany for the last sort of 80 years or so. So I'm assuming it's probably bikers. Anyway, it was enough to be slightly concerned. And we were sat there, and I used the Translate app on my phone to work out what the hell I wanted on the menu. And I went for a double pulled pork burger because I was like, you know what, I'm starving. This sounds great. The bread was terrible. And I opened it up, and there was a lot of pulled pork. There was no burger. What they call a pulled pork burger was just they'd slopped 2 servings of pulled pork onto a bad bun with lettuce and then cucumber and tomatoes. There was no bun in. I wanted the burger. That's why I ordered it. The entire weekend was actually full of kind of disappointing food. I had a buffet 5 meals in a row, which was a surprising amount of variety and a surprising amount of like healthy and fresh food. But I would have liked a little bit more actual food, and also the service in that hotel was terrible. It was like, people were placing an order for a beer, and then 20 minutes later coming back with the beer. It's not that they were busy. This was Friday night when there was like 8 different people there, and anyway.
Oh, 8 whole.
I know, 8 whole people. And like at one point, one of the team went up to the bar because they could see our drinks, and they're like, "Hey, are these our drinks? We can take them to the table." And the staff were like, "No, we'll bring them over." And it took them another 5 or 6 minutes to bring the drinks over that were ready to go. And it's like, I don't know.
We have had some potentially disastrous food-based news in Saffron Walden. The lovely Thai restaurant that we go to after events on a Saturday night has changed owners. They'll be opening this weekend, and I've got a 40k event this weekend, so it will be the 40k players sacrificed on the altar of potentially bad Thai food. The new owners have redecorated in the restaurant. It was looking a little bit shabby beforehand, even though the food was great. And I am yet to see any reviews because it doesn't open until the day before the 40k event. So
well,
I'm going to be
good job.
taking
You've got
lives
some
in their hands for that meal out next.
You've got some guinea pigs there. That's good. I'm going to admit I'm pretty ambivalent about Thai food. It's fine. If it's not worth going to, I'm not going to be heartbroken. But also, I'm not going to throw my dummy out the pram and insist that we change if it is good. I'll just keep going and be like, this is a fine experience.
Yeah. To be honest, it's more that actually, when you think about it, it's quite tricky to find a restaurant that is good, but also has the space with an hour or two's notice to go from a table of 4 to a table of 20.
And also will
because
cater to your, the risk of food allergies and similar.
exactly,
Whereas the other
yeah.
places that you've tried are, yeah. But what you're forgetting is those are your problems, not mine. And I, as an attendee, don't have to care. That's your issue to solve.
But yeah, have no fear. By the time the next Saffron Slam, Fantasy Slam, anyway, in February, there will be a food establishment sorted that does good food. We have many choices in town, so we'll see how we go. But I'll keep you posted if all my 40k players die this weekend.
I think I'll hear about it. Like that might hit the news. I'll keep my eye out. Who else we got? Very Silent Mouse and Tommy. Good to see you both. Aaron says there are any usage of classic goblins. I'm talking classic spear and shields. They are the least good goblins of the lot, but you can't take normal goblins in Troll Horde. So if you wanted to take a cheap brick of gobbos for combat res and scoring, there's a place for it. Hams fan says I got best sport at my first event. Clearly, coaching doesn't just improve your game, but your wit, charm, and good looks too. It's an incredible humble brag. Hams fan is also one of my coaching students. I will admit, I don't think I was the reason for him getting best sport. I think he's just quite an enjoyable,
Nice guy.
affable man, and was also jumping in to fill a spot where they were going to be short a player at a narrative event. So, but I'll take the success by association. That's something I can live with.
Yeah, absolutely. Take some credit, mate. Credit where credit's due. It sometimes takes a bit of confidence to be nice, and you may have inspired that confidence.
We'll go with that. We'll go with that. I'm skimming the chat, and I think I'm trying to keep up with the chat, but I've pulled too much away from it, and I think to catch up now would unfortunately take so long that we would then have to catch up on the chat again. So we're gonna just get into, I guess, talking about what we've been doing. But it is good to see you all, and it is good to be back in front of the camera, having a bit chat with you all. So, have you done anything Warhammer over the last month since we last spoke?
Yes, I have played a game of Old World.
Nice.
Yes, get in there. I played my friend Chris and his Skaven. Chris is he lives up in Blackpool, so we don't often get together to play, but it was a great opportunity to play a couple of weeks ago. He is pretty new to Old World. He's just sort of getting for the game, and has always loved his Skaven back from fantasy days, so has been painting up a new army for Old World, and has been very much enjoying it. Actually, probably for Chris, the best looking army he's ever put together. It's got a really cool yellow scheme on it. So all of his Skaven are wearing sort of dirty yellow cloaks, and look really muddy and horrible. And I think he's done a really good job on them. So that was really nice to see. Gave him a game against my Bretonians because I thought out of the two armies I've got, Vampire Counts would be a worse experience for a new player going into it. Did 2,000 points each, and Chris did a great job keeping it close. Did a very good job of shutting down my Pegasus people. One by getting warp fire cannoned in the face, and then just shot to death by a Skaven bloke with a pistol, which I didn't enjoy because apparently that pistol wasn't very expensive. So that was good fun. I think he struggled a bit with he had a load of the rat ogres, the frenzy guys, and they don't have any AP on any of their attacks. So he learned very quickly that just having lots of frenzy guys with no AP doesn't necessarily do a lot in today's day and age where lots of things are running around with decent armor saves. And he had a few skirmish units, a few units of I've forgotten the name of them, with the bows. What are they good? The ones that you made an entire list out of.
With bows? Oh, yeah, with range weapons, you mean? Gutter runners.
Or slings, whatever they've got. Yeah. I can't remember. They got some kind of range weapon. So a couple of units of those, but only little units.
So that's exactly the sort of attention to detail I'd expect from a Vampire Counts player. They're shooting me with some sort of piddly strength 3 weapon. Shan't care. I'll heal it back up. It won't matter at all.
But no, so I think he's found they were quite useful, just didn't have enough of them. But I mean, Chris has always been a very good player. He's been a very, very good 40k player for a number of years. A very good Middle Earth strategy battle game player. They needed a more catchy title for that game. So he's able to transfer that into fantasy and overcome some of the weaknesses of Skaven just by being a good player. But was very much looking forward to finding a square-based event so he can run around with 2,600 points worth of Skaven when everyone else is running around with 2,000. So I think he's in the game. I think he's trying to build a little slow grow community up in Blackpool. To shout out to those guys if they're listening, and hoping to get out to some events over in the new year with a bit of luck. So he loves getting this game out, I think, and it was great to play against a new player as well, and help him through the game. We had like a whole morning to play one 2,000 point game, we basically took the whole morning, but I think it was worth it. It was really good fun.
It does take a while to play your first couple of games because you've got to teach them rules, but also when they do something stupid, explain why that's a stupid thing and be like, this is why you wouldn't maybe want to do that, and go from there. So how long did it take you to convince him that he shouldn't play Skaven?
He's also a big Orcs and Goblins fan, and he won't mind saying to Chris, I was the best man at his wedding a couple of months ago, and it was his wedding. I got the whole wedding party to call a war in the middle of the wedding speech, and that went very well. So he could also be tempted by the Orcs and Goblins. I think he likes
his partner into Warhammer. She's
not.
Oh, that's a questionable thing to do.
No, she is. She's a good sport. Is Rachel? Bless her. She's lovely, and I was quite nice during the rest of the speech. I was nice to her. I was horrible to Chris, but I was nice to her. And I think she is one of those long-suffering Warhammer partners who knows that secretly we all take the mickey out of it, but actually it means quite a lot to the individual. And obviously 50% of the people in attendance at the wedding were all big Warhammer players. And you could sort of see, as you looked out across all the people that were there, they'd sort of, I don't know, it was like 70, 80 people. I could tell who played Warhammer amongst the people that were listening to my speech, because as I started introducing the fact we were going to be calling a war instead of the toast at the end of the best man speech, you could see them realise. And then a few seconds later, you could see each of their partners realise this was going to happen. And obviously that's all on Chris's side of the room. And then all the people on Rachel's side of the room were looking very confused as to why people started to laugh before I'd even actually said anything. And then obviously it hit. And actually, to Rachel's credit, she was one of the loudest of the war calling individuals in the room. So she did a great job.
I'm gonna be looking for that story on wedding shaming later on the subreddit. But anyway, maybe we move on from that one.
You had to be there, man. It was great.
Sure. Anyway, so had a good time teaching a new player Skaven. Excellent.
Yes.
That's good. It's obviously a great game. I enjoy it, and Skaven, despite their many flaws, are at least one of the factions that feel like they play traditional old school fantasy more, because they're really tied into those rank and flank units.
Exactly. And my Bretonnian list was my sort of fun one I took to TSN a month or two ago, which was just loads of Knights of the Realm and a big block of Grail Knights. So not full of Pegasus Knights and things like that. So
still had Pegasus Knights and a Duke on Pegasus.
No Pegasus Knights, no, just
sorry.
The character.
Okay, that is more reasonable.
And so it's quite an honest Bretonnian list that it kind of just runs forward and hits you.
Sure.
And he had a good job. He killed most of the Knights of the Realm quite happily. The Grail Knights spent the whole game not doing a huge amount because I mispositioned them, and then eventually got round to his big block of storm vermin things with all the characters in, and eventually minced those. But I've seen one of the new items that's coming out, the Totem of Wrath, which is like 50-point banner, which gives your unit +1 AP on the charge. And I think
reroll once to
I am committing to a stupidly sized unit of Grail Knights, giving them AP3 on the charge feels quite nice when they're charging stuff that's going to be using parry. Because it means the boys on the 4+ save aren't getting one, and on 3+ save they're only saving on 6s now. So I feel like that's a good investment for a Grail Knight bus if you do insist on running the Grail Knights.
Yes, the if you do insist is the key detail there. But it gives the horses AP1 and reroll once a wound on their attacks as well.
Oh
So
yes, and the real ones to wound as well, which is excellent.
that's nice. That's nice. Yeah,
But yeah,
good, 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 good. Anything else for you, or is that most of your Warhammer catching ups?
I think that's most of it. I've whinged about the Sentinel already.
Sure.
I have, as I say, I did listen to your episode that you did, which I totally recommend everyone go back to, about theory crafting different items from the new Arcane Journal, and I quite like a few of those items on there. I feel like they're going to be quite useful in a lot of armies. So it feels like that's a good sort of subtle power boost to a number of different armies that currently don't have access to some items similar strength. And I think they might be pushing out some of the items that I take quite regularly on some of my other lists actually. Like for example, there's that shield that you don't need to be actually holding to get the armor improvement from the shield, which would
Infantry
combo
only,
really
though.
quite nicely with the big hammer, the AP3 hammer.
Only takes one hand, right? The AP3 hammer.
I think it requires two hands, but I could be wrong. If it doesn't require two hands, then just take a normal shield. But in my mind, it was take both of those together because I've been really struggling, as we discussed after the last TSN event, for my second Pegasus character in my Bretonnians. I didn't like it having the Monster Slayer stuff on it. I just wasn't rolling the sixes when I needed it.
So oh yeah, no, you're right. The meteor hammer is two-handed. Couple of
Yeah.
points though. The shield is infantry only. You can't take it on an
Oh, is it? Oh,
because
damn.
that's kind of the only place that I could find some real use out of it in the current meta, I think. But
Yeah.
just look at the cackling blade. Like I've been Vincent, who is the captain of the Dutch Lions, who I was with this weekend, just gone, also plays Bretonia, so we were talking about them a lot, and we came to the conclusion that the Duke on with the cackling blade in the Pegasus unit with the Totem of Wrath, suddenly that's just significantly more exciting than the Monster Slayer characters. You can have two characters that do a good amount of output into sort of the general field, because you don't necessarily need something to kill dragons. You can deal with them in other ways with Bretonians.
Yeah. And I found the Ogre Blade character on themselves quite capable of killing a dragon if needs to be, or at least killing a dragon just as efficiently as rolling a 6 might happen on 50% of the times I fight that with that character's number of attacks. So, as you say, giving the second character something that's just sort of generally good, and maybe trying to potentially use the Ogre Blade character if you really have to go after a dragon, I think is a better approach overall. So it stops that second character feeling a bit like a wet fish when it hits something. So yeah, looking forward to that, to play around with some of those weapons.
Sure. Good stuff. All right. Do I have anything to talk about other than just the weekend? I mean, that was kind of everything that I've done. What can I talk about? Yeah. So Remy's here. Good to see Remy. We tried to go out for food on the Friday night and then also tried to book something on the Saturday night. And both times there was no room at the inn. So we went into Honest Brook, I think it was, and we tried to, but we went into one place that we knew, they went for WTC in September and they were full. They couldn't do a party 6. And, all right, no worries. Then we tried to go somewhere else. They were full. And then we tried ringing a couple of other places and they were all full. So I'm like, all right, guess we're going back to the hotel. And then we had the terrible service, and honestly, the food was not great. Two people had fish and chips, and apparently it was just crap. I'm glad I didn't go for it. I went for the schnitzel. It was pretty crap. It was not a good food experience. But yeah, it was difficult to get anything around. There was a Christmas market on, so I assume that's why people were out in town on like a Friday, Saturday night, even more than they normally would be. But it was difficult to get in. Amy also says that I'm the reason, and this is going back to talking about my coaching students, she's saying that I'm the reason that she's taking 2 Arachnaroks to the TSN Arena next weekend. I don't know if I want to be blamed for that. That feels something I don't want to sign my name to.
You would be recommending in one of your coaching calls.
Well, if someone really wants to play a certain unit, you can always build around it to it. I might
Yeah.
advise other options, but you can always fit something in that's a little bit dumb if you want to. Yeah, so I think we've kind of there's not a huge much to cover. I don't want to talk about the weekend too much, given that I'm going to be making putting a video out about it. Ideally Thursday, we'll see. But we do have a lot of podcast questions, and there will be stuff coming up in the chat as well. So I think we maybe just pivot to immediately answering questions, such as Ian saying, does anyone know how Cackling Blade interacts with Doppelganger? You don't get additional attacks, unfortunately. You get the additional attacks once. You get them when you attack, as opposed to getting more attacks there. That would be incredibly wild. But... says Boone. You don't need 4d6 plus your base stats on attack / auto hits. That would be fairly ridiculous. So we're going to start off with Callum's question from the 13th of November, because it's been that long since we last did.
Sorry, Callum.
When going into debt to buy Warhammer Army, is it better to use a credit card, take out a personal loan, or to fabricate a business plan? Have you ever gone into debt to buy Warhammer? I feel like the answer is probably no.
I don't think I've gone into debt to buy Warhammer. Like, I haven't added Warhammer onto my mortgage or anything like that. Feels like that could be an option.
Yeah.
For those of you that don't live in the UK, you won't know who this guy is, but I'm a massive follower of Martin Lewis.
Stalks him.
Goes by the name of the money saving expert. He's like a UK consumer rights champion sort of guy who goes around telling consumers how to complain properly and get money back, and what the best deals on bank accounts and credit cards and stuff are. So if I channeled my inner Martin Lewis, I would suggest that he would obviously advise going into debt for a luxury purchase was a very silly thing to do. But if you were going to go into debt for a luxury purchase, you would take out one of those credit cards that's like 0% interest for 6 months or something, so you can just pay it back over 6 months and make sure that you make all of your repayments by the end of that 6 months. You don't incur any interest on it. That you can spread it over that period without incurring any actual debt. Well, I mean, it is debt. You know what I mean? This program is not suitable for financial advice. Do not take anything that we hear to heart, or try this at home.
Cool. Well, that was terrible. I, on the other hand, do have experience in this matter. And I actually don't know that I've ever put Warhammer on credit. I think it's buying the Warhammer's been fine. It's the traveling to events that's put me into debt. That's the bit that's ended up, really shooting me in the foot there. And I'm still trying to work that off. My glory days of 40k traveling to an event every 3 weeks. That was fun and objectively not the right thing to do. But here we are. So, is it better to use a credit card, take out a personal loan, or fabricate a business plan? So you don't want to use a credit card, first of all. They have terrible rates. A personal loan, you can usually get a better rate on. But speaking of fabricating a business plan, if you were to make a YouTube channel, and that's not what I've done, because obviously I've got a lot of other stuff on here. This is an actual business plan. But if you were to buy models, and then you were to make a YouTube channel, and you were to record videos of your models, like, this is a model showcase or something, you could say, under this business, the business being your YouTube channel, they were an expense, and you could write them off tax-wise. So, again, not financial advice. Make sure that I'm right before, you actually do such a thing. But that is one way that you could do, I don't want to call it fraud, but you could use the loopholes that the big businesses here in the UK so love to use to not pay any tax. Looking at you, Amazon, fuck you. So yeah, if you want some of that Jeff Bezos money, the way to do it, start a small YouTube channel and film your models, and do make sure that you're claiming everything back so you pay less tax.
Yeah. Just do it just before the end of the financial year, so if you ever get audited, you can show HMRC just before I put that tax return in.
Hell yeah.
I was making videos.
Absolutely. Cool. Amy says, how often do you advocate players look to switch up their factions to stay competitive? Now, there's two ways of reading this question. The first is, how often do I personally tell people to do it? Through the context of coaching. Not very often in that lens, because people usually have a goal. There have been a few people who I've said, have you considered that maybe you're going to struggle to get the results that you want with the faction that you're playing? maybe consider looking at other factions if you're looking for more success. Right now, the meta is pretty top heavy, so the things that are good are going to have a much easier time doing well. I'm not necessarily, well, I haven't advised anyone to start playing Cathay, but I'm not, if you want to win a 5-game event, you probably can't do that with Skaven, for example. So I might recommend that you look at another option there, because some armies are just very unlikely to win 5 games at a GT because they're likely to hit something that's just so much better than them and they can't interact with in the current state of the meta. Post FAQ, hopefully that will not be a thing, and we can go back to having the pre 1.5 fairly well spread. Obviously there was imbalance and the legacy factions were terrible apart from vampire counts, but there were legitimately 7, 8 maybe factions that could do well at events and potentially win them. So going back to that level of balance would be nice. How about yourself?
Yeah, and I think, as you say, it's I guess on the question is what you actually mean by competitive. Do you mean competitive as in doing well at a certain event, or do you mean competitive as in making yourself a better player? Because there's arguments for both switching and not switching in both those things. I think if you want to become a really good player and be competitive, I think there is advantages in switching up your faction, because it allows you to experience different play styles, different strengths of army, different tactics, different approaches to games, and it allows you to learn a much wider suite of armies across the game. So you could make an argument that switching up regularly is going to be really good to help you get better as a player. But there's also the flip side that actually if you really dive into a faction and you really understand it inside and out, and you really make sure that you are the knowledge on that faction, you can also become an incredibly strong player. It will just limit you in the same way that Ed has said, in terms of if that faction happens to be rubbish.
You have to pick the right faction. You can't do this with every faction. Just because some factions don't play in it's not necessarily about the power level of the faction, but some factions don't play in a way that allow you to outplay your opponent. They're more stat checky armies. So a good example of this would be Wood Elves are a pretty poor faction at the moment, but the way their faction plays is you've got space to outplay people if you do go into, if you're very good, you've got tools and levers to pull. Whereas, if you're playing, I don't know, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, Knightly Orders for Empire, then kind of limited on tools there.
Yeah, and I guess we're sort of fortunate in the old world as well that the game doesn't change at the rate that it changes in, say, 40k. So you do have a bit more time between releases and between balance changes or meta changes to adjust what you're doing. Whereas in a game such as 40k, where it changes literally every sort of 8 to 12 weeks, it's constantly changing. And actually, if you want to stay on top in terms of event results, you do have to change quite regularly. Whereas actually in Old World, you do get a bit of time to deep dive into an army. It was probably every 6 months. It's getting a realistic change at the moment in this first edition of Old World. So I think you can get away with switching a lot less frequently in the Old World than you can in another game like 40k if your aim is to be competitive.
Yeah. Although with the 40k example, when you see, even when Eldar are bad, when you see someone who's got Eldar and they're hand painted and they're visually out of date models, that's when you panic, because you're like, oh, I'm gonna be strapped to a barrel here. This is gonna be very unpleasant for me. You see someone with an Eldar army that is like, when Eldar are good and they've been airbrushed, you're like, yeah, whatever, I can beat this player. But when someone's been playing the movement trick.jpg faction to the point where they've hand painted their models because they've had them since before airbrushing was a common thing for Eldar, ooh, that makes you sweat. And I guess Wood Elves are the closest equivalent to that, so maybe we'll see some big brain plays coming in a month and a half when Wood Elves get a 50% points cut on everything. 250 point dragons. It's going to be amazing.
It's going to be wild.
Vincent says, what is, in your opinion, the best Brett sub-faction? Why is it Grand Army? You know it's not. It's Exiles, and that's why I made you play Exiles at WTC. Although we do agree that the Crackling Blade does give Grand Army a little bit of a boost compared to how I felt the disparity was before. Have you got an opinion
Yeah.
on this, or is it just you're just going to agree with the person who
I
plays
don't
it?
have a major opinion because I've only actually played Grand Army, so I haven't experienced the others yet, so I wouldn't be qualified to comment. But it does annoy me slightly that with Grand Army I have to take peasants or men at arms on foot.
Just play
But why
Errantry
can I not
Crusade.
take an all cavalry army?
Just play
Why?
Errantry Crusade. That's just Grand
Well,
Army,
exactly.
but
But then you
only
end up with the
but
bloody question knights or whatever they are.
it's Grand Army, but more what's the word I'm looking for? Classist.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can do that. You don't need to worry. It's the same thing basically. Have you got any models you'd like to see return in a future made to order?
Ooh. I would quite like. It's not a model as such. I'd quite like. Do you remember the Warhammer Castle? That huge, great big castle with all the walls. I'd quite like that to return because there's a world where I'd like one of my Fantasy Slam boards, probably the bottom table, to be set up like Siege style. And so that you would have maybe you'd probably need two of the sets for a 6x4 board to make like one half be on a castle and then the other half to be in front of the castle. Because I have a board like that for 40k, but it's very much a 40k layout. It's the castle walls have got like auto cannons and las cannons and stuff on them, so not ideal for old world. But I'd quite like something similar for an old world setup, where actually you play that game, as I say, probably down on the bottom tables where people aren't there to win, and I've just instead have a really good laugh of it. I think that's what I'd like them to bring back.
Sure. Yeah.
I imagine with modern Games Workshop prices, though, that would be hideously expensive.
Yeah, I don't know that I've got anything that I'd particularly love to see other than some of the cool Forge World stuff that we got in the Monstrous Arcanum. I'd like to see more cool monstery stuff brought into the game and be okay. It doesn't have to be OP, but I'd like it to just be playable as opposed to, oh, hey, the Merworm's here. Oh, hey, the Merworm's expensive. Oh, hey, the Merworm's bad. Moving on. I don't know that I've ever seen anyone put one on the table. It's
No,
unfortunate. Ed says, "What is your favourite bird?" I don't know. I don't know that I have one. Probably D. For my Always Sunny fans out there, that's probably all I got. You got a favourite bird?
I quite like. There's two birds that I quite like. I quite like Egyptian geese because their whole sort of eye situation they've got going on just looks really cool.
Okay.
And I also quite like a wagtail because it's just the best named bird ever. Because actually, when it's sitting on the side of a river, it literally is just sitting there wagging its tail. And I just think some scientist 200 years ago has looked at that and gone, do you know what? We're going to call that a wagtail because it's Friday night and I want to go home. And that's fine.
And I'm incredibly professional. Yeah, I mean, on that note, it's got to be the booby then. Obviously, there are birds called tit. That's not as funny, but
I avoided that.
yeah, but it's just objectively funny. It takes me back to being like 8, and it feels very. Oh god, what were they called? The Geordies. I should have my northern license removed for forgetting the names. The two of them that always do like hosting TV
What, Ant and
shows.
Dec?
Ant and Dec. There we go.
You
They were the ones.
got Ant and Dec.
I mean, they're not actually that good. Is the problem? They like that might get me shot, but they're not actually that interesting or
So
funny.
the whole of the north of England is coming for you now.
Yeah, well, one of them also did do the whole driving drunk thing as well, so I've got limited interest in.
That. Not a highlight.
No. But he's, recovering from addictions. I have sympathy for that, but also try not to kill someone, please. That would be ideal. Anyway, I'm going off topic, and I am going to alienate part of the listener base. So I better move on. I was trying to set. It's going to be too much effort to do, so I'm not going to bother. And I've ruined it anyway.
What is going on?
I was trying to set up on the second screen the screen share so I could show the red eye of the Egyptian geese. But you can all just Google it because it'll take too long to set up on the other screen, and I think we might be moving on. But yeah, so that's where I got up to on that one. Tommy says, is this a heavy chariot or a light chariot? And I'm not going to show the picture, but it's a 3D model of someone in a wheelchair wearing a jester's hat with a pistol and no legs. Yeah. I think it's got to be a light chariot. There's not enough.
Definitely light chariot.
Like, if a full chariot pulled by 2 horses and with 2 riders on is a light chariot, this is definitely going to be a light chariot as well. However, it's also a chariot with random move. This is not a sane person that we're looking at.
It does have a gun though, which is always adds some flavour.
It's the American DLC. Matthew says, are there any extremely common magic items where being extremely common is generally seen as important / good for the flavour of the game? Could a simple comp be just to say nah to that rule? Best candidate I can think of is Favour of the Gods, but honestly, would it be a bit more stupidity risk be such a bad thing? Maybe Power Scroll. I feel like we talked about this, or I talked about this with someone else maybe, at a completely unrelated juncture, but I think you could just say common is no longer common, and you can only have one of each. No more stacking magic resist 2 everywhere. That's the sort of main offender. No more rings of jet spam, all of those things. I'd be very okay with that just becoming a not repeatable.
On board with that. Good idea, Matthew. Stick it in the FAQs.
For some,
the asterisk from all items.
I'm not going to say that I was his favourite, but I think you might be Callum's favourite. Says Lewis always has good answers to these questions because he's a curious and interesting person. And then he just says Eddie Order. And doesn't finish the sentence, but the implied insult is there. I'm not 100% sure.
It may not be one of those things.
yeah, I see. Cool. Then we've got Strive saying, what sort of common / generic magic item would you like to see in the upcoming Arcane Journal? I guess this was before we saw all of the items. So maybe some sort of sword that gives you like plus D6 attacks. It could be strength +1, AP -1, armor bane 1. Needs a penalty. So if you roll like, I don't know, the 6, maybe you also lose a wound or something like that. That would be pretty cool. That'd be a fun item to have in the upcoming Arcane Journal. How about yourself?
Definitely. I think I'd quite like a shield that you didn't need to hold with any of your hands. You could have a really cool weapon at the same time.
That's
and it would obviously be excellent if that could be limited just to infantry.
Yeah, like thematically, it doesn't make sense for it to fly around if you're on the back of a horse. Like, how does it keep up with you? I can thematically see it keeping up with you if you're on foot, but if you're on like a horse or a Pegasus or a dragon or something like that, you're flying around. That thing's not going to have a clue where you are, how to keep up with you. Yeah, I think infantry only makes sense.
I mean, if someone had the magical ability to make a shield that levitates and follows you around, I reckon they can make a shield that levitates and follows you around a little bit faster than walking pace. It's
not about the speed. It's about the unexpected change in pace that you can only get from being on a flying creature that can move in 360 degrees in all planes.
Chris was not a fan of that in the Skaven game. He was like, wait, your Pegasus character can see in all directions. And I was like, yes. He's like, so you can just fly over me and be behind all of my infantry. And I said, yes.
Yep.
He was like, I don't like that rule. I was like, yes.
Callum says just tie a bit of string to it. At that point, you may as well just hold it, or like grow a tail and wield it with your tail.
You wouldn't need to hold it. It would just sort of be dragged around behind you. Maybe if it's going a bit fast, it would just be like.
And if it's being dragged around behind you, it's not useful as a shield, then, is it?
Yeah, but that's why you're mid-flight. But once you've landed to engage in honourable combat with...
Man, I sure hope I don't get shot by anyone while I'm flying. A shield would be real nice about now. Oh no, an arrow! If only this could have been prevented by me using my fucking hands to hold the shield.
Bit of string. Like a length of string you just strap to your arm, so it's only like a few inches long, so it can never be more than an inch.
You've had enough, mate. You've had enough. I'm cutting you off. No more alcohol for you. No, put it down. I told you not to bring that flask of vodka. They call him Lewis Drinking Problems Elms. See, he's got a problem with swallowing it. How do Bretts match up with Cathay? Badly. You can play Tomb Kings or Bretts and prefer Bretts. It depends. If your opponent's bringing like a really cutthroat list, then you got problems. Tomb Kings though, just bring like as many at 2,500 points. Just bring 30 Shabti, and like, what are you gonna do? You gonna exist near me? Not anymore. You're not. Good luck killing any of my units in one go before I res them up, and also I'm gonna kill all your balloons turn 1.
Yep.
That No, Steck says, now that it's been a week since the last one, that's where you think. It's actually been a much longer. What mountain do you think would have the most scenic views in all of the old world?
Oh, interesting.
I'll let you go first with this one.
I mean, the mountains of Morn feel like they'd be quite good because
Sure.
if you look in one direction, look to the west, you could see the Empire and the Dwarves and the Orcs. Look to the east, you could see the Great Wall of Cathay and the Chaos Dwarves and some Chaos Incursions. So it feels like, although you would have the slight downside in that you've got all the ogres sort of all around, right underneath you, so the smell would be pretty bad up there, I imagine. But I think the view would be good.
Sure. Yeah. There's one called Doom Mountain, and I know nothing about it, but it's called Doom Mountain.
Probably not a great place.
But it's near Nikara, where the Tomb Kings are. So I think that's probably aptly named. So you'll be able to see the oncoming horde of skeleton chariots as you count the minutes to your inevitable demise and being able to join the ranks as a freshly flayed skeleton. So let's go with that. We're going to go with Doom Mountain. Strife says, what's the most you would spend on a beef Wellington? Now, this comes from the M&S beef Wellington, which is, I can't remember.
It's the river question, Ed.
Oh no. We'll go back.
That rat bastard.
How much would you spend for a 6 serving of beef Wellington? Now, this is from Marks and Spencer's, to give you context to what the price might be. How much money would you spend? Or how much do you think they're charging for 6 portions of beef Wellington?
As a vegetarian, I have no concept of how much a beef Wellington should cost, but I do know that Atlantic salmon have been spawning in the Don for the first time in 200 years.
You're skipping a question. This is a good one. You don't want to miss this. This is Christmas dinner. What would you expect to be charged for at-home food? This is not restaurant. This is, for 6 people, it's the main. So, you might spend, I don't know, 40 quid on a turkey or something like that. What do you think a 6-person beef Wellington costs? Just throw out a number.
At home, 30 quid.
£195. What a fucking travesty. What an absolute travesty. Yeah, what disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful. I don't know if their plan is to... Yeah. I don't know if the plan is to thin out the pores by causing some heart attacks at seeing that price. I'm personally not shopping at M&S, not as from a moral standpoint, but who comes up with these prices? It's also it says it's by Tom Kerridge, who I assume is some sort of relatively well-known chef. I've never heard of him, and I enjoy cooking, so who knows?
And I can guarantee you, he did not make all of the beef Wellingtons.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
It's every single M&S.
It's going to be machine made. It's going to be just commercially, huge scale. There's going to be loads of them, even though it costs £195. I feel like, in one way, because it's so expensive, some people will buy it because of the prestige of having an expensive thing. Yeah, people used to pay to have fucking exotic plants brought back over to England, for their stately homes. So £195 for a bit of beef Wellington. Oh yes, no, that sounds delightful. Really show off the generational wealth that we're rolling with. A new mortgage, yes, Marjorie. I think that seems appropriate. Anyway, yeah, absolutely disgraceful stuff from M&S, and I will continue to not shop there on a weekly basis.
Power to the people.
Miss Dis says, any thoughts on the rumour that royal pegs will be classified as monstrous creatures? As someone who does see leaks and rumours ahead of time fairly frequently, I haven't seen any this time round. I don't know what's coming. I'm generally unimpressed with the level of reliability of the leaks and rumours that the people who... Not even specifically, but if you read something that's leaked or rumoured for Warhammer, just assume it's probably wrong, because more often than not it's incorrect. I would put very little weight in that.
General, do you think these people are getting from? So, we know for the Raising Westland, for example, the Square Base boys did a video about it because they had somehow got hold of the PDF and were able to share the actual document on the interwebs.
Mm-hmm.
But people that are coming up with these rumours, how are they getting that information? Are they speaking to staff members and being told, "Oh, we might make"?
Honestly, I think that
Pegasus
probably
monsters?
is like people talking to like Games Workshop staff who run fucking shops, because they
Yeah,
never have a clue what's going on, but they have
no, they
like
find out
a
the rest.
level of implied authority. So I could see that being something. Yeah. Anyway, I wouldn't worry about that. And if they do become monstrous creatures, time to bust out the hippogriff, I guess. But I can't see it. Or just downgrade to the Barded Pegasus or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that rat bastard says, "Have Atlantic salmon returned to and the River Don yet? It must have been about 200 years now. ...
Yes, he's done some Googling, I think, because the literal top story that comes up when you put Atlantic salmon and River Don in is that they've been spawning in the River Don for the first time in 200 years, which has been some really good work to remove barriers to the salmon getting into the river. And actually, it's been a pretty impressive piece of work to get them to come back. So I think generally a very amazing set of people coming together and really making a positive difference to our environment. So it should be applauded, because we don't have enough salmon anymore. Same for eels and things like that. They're all dying out. So anything we can do to turn that situation around is very much appreciated.
Nice. Hams fan says, Seaguard Garrison.
Great question.
Indeed, we can move on. Jordan says, "What's the best bit of a roast dinner? Why is it Yorkshire puddings?" You are absolutely correct. The only possible contender is the roast potato. Like, those are that's the only thing that really sort of gets close, I would say.
Ooh, I don't know. Yorkshire is good.
All you're doing, if you disagree with me, you're just telling on yourself that you make shit Yorkshire puddings. So tread lightly here.
No. I am a big fan of Yorkshire puddings. It's definitely up there. I think it's in a close race
Bet
with
you have Aunt Betsy's.
the sage and onion stuffing, I think.
Fuck. Oh, he's got a point. It's so upsetting when someone you dislike so much has a really good point.
Bastard Ed. I don't know why I come here.
No, I've been trying to get rid of you. What episode are we on? 43. I've been putting in work to get rid of you. No, that's actually a really solid point. I still think it's the Yorkshire pudding. I think the stuffing's good.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what?
You could put the stuff in the Yorkshire and cover it in gravy.
Well, so I just had a thought. Is the answer actually gravy? Because everything else is pretty uninspired without that gravy. Ooh.
This is going to be a controversial, maybe. Well, for my personal life, it's controversial, but she can't hear me, so it's all good. But my wife, she does not put gravy on her roast dinner at all.
Jesus.
Just has it all dry. And
what a wrong'un.
I'm like, ooh, do I take back that engagement ring?
My ex also didn't like sauce in including gravy and custard as well, which is bizarre. And I think the only way you can deal with that without going entirely insane is to come to the conclusion that it's okay because it means that there's more sauce for you. That's the only way that you can treat it in any sort of, because otherwise it's a Cthulhu-esque nightmarish situation. Your sanity will be wrestled away from your mind. You'll be staring into the void, and the old gods will be staring back, and it's hard to comprehend. So you've got to knuckle down and go, it's okay. There's just more gravy for me. I'm not going to think about it.
In this analogy, is the void a dry roast?
No, I think I literally mean the eldritch abomination known as Cthulhu.
The end.
Yeah. Has there been?
You are completely correct, because you can be damn sure I have not reduced the quantity of gravy that I make.
Nice. Very, very good. Callum says, which supermarket is more likely to stock each of the new magic items? Oh, I mean, I don't know that we're going to do all of them, but we can probably go through some of them. Now,
I feel like the Aldi middle aisle would contain a becalming orb.
Fuck.
I think that's the sort of thing that you would find in the middle aisle. You would just be rummaging around looking for a Tupperware or something, and you go, "Oh, what's this orb? Ah, a becalming orb, +2 to casting values." for enemy wizards within 15 inches if I get this spell off. Fantastic. I'll put that in my trunk.
I'm so upset. That was the line I was going to go with. It wasn't for the Becoming Orb, but like that is exactly the line of reasoning I was going to go with. Very good, very good. That's a good one. I would say Iceland has the Sword of Sorrows. I've never been impressed by Iceland, and shopping that brings me sorrow. Yeah, like what do they got? That's why Mums goes to Iceland. That's all you've got. A really good advertising pitch and really mediocre food. If I want to go somewhere cheap, I'll go to Lidl and Aldi, which are great. If I want to go somewhere nicer, I'll go to Tesco's. And then, you know what else? Co-op. Co-op's naff. Like, they have, like, I don't know, levitating shields.
You leave the levitating shield alone.
Yeah, I'll leave it alone when it becomes a good magic item. And then I guess the Cackling Blade is from M&S because it's the only place that I can think of that has, very expensive things off the top of my head. Waitrose.
Waitrose would have the Staff of Quietude because it just looks like the sort of thing an old person would be carrying around, and old people are the only people that are rich enough to be able to shop in Waitrose. So yeah, and it's nice and quiet, which I feel like would suit the Waitrose shopper down to a T.
Yeah. Potion of Fervour. That's whatever place you buy alcohol from, whether it's maybe not a supermarket, it's specifically an off license. That's your Potion of Fervour.
That's the mystery. Those mystery bottles of alcohol in some of those dodgy, like, you remember, like QD or Savers, and it would be in those shops where it's like, this bottle of 12% alcohol for £4. I wonder what it could possibly be. I'll take 2 litres, please.
And it also has caffeine and taurine in. Because why not? Why not?
Yeah, if you it makes your whole mouth go green for about 4 days after you've drunk it. Times.
I'm not going to read Ozymandias' comment, but there needs to be less disrespect towards English cuisine, because we have the best food in the world. I could go to a different restaurant in Nottingham every day of the week and have like a fantastic meal and never repeat. I could have on Monday I could have a great British curry. On Tuesday I could have a great British Chinese. Wednesday I might have a great British pizza. We've got so much good food, and the fact that you're disrespecting it is frankly disgraceful. And you need to have a word with yourself.
Aussie man, we realised probably about 300 years ago that we were never going to be that good at making food, so we just stole everybody else's, and it works really well.
I mean, that's not true. Like we get ripped on for our our peasant food equivalent that most countries have, and it doesn't look massively appealing, but it is delicious. It's like, would you like meat, vegetables, and a salt-based sauce to go on top of it? Yeah, actually, that's pretty good. And if you're telling me that you don't like it, you're wrong. I'm reaching across the aisle here. Then we've got, do you think if Old World gets popular enough, they'll do a spin-off game set in space? Or is that kind of predictable and trite? I don't know. Maybe. I mean, prior to Old World starting, I never thought that Games Workshop would make a miniatures game. I thought they were just going to keep making miniatures for Wizards of the Coast. But, yeah, who can say? I don't know. What would they do? Like, how do they even write a setting in space that makes sense and is compelling? They'd have to do something with, like, maybe one of the legacy factions. They could take Lizardmen. Maybe the Slan are the progenitors of the 40k universe. Or there I am, giving it a name. Maybe it's 40,000 years in the future. That's probably the best way to do it. Because, like, I hate it when you see fantasy that's, like Blade Runner, and you're like, but we've reached that year. It doesn't like work tomorrow. Anymore. No one's going to be talking about, things that we're writing now in however many years' time. So, yeah, maybe. I don't see it.
It'll never take off, Ed. I wouldn't worry yourself too much about it. I don't think it'll ever be anything significant.
Yeah, I think so.
Fantasy is just a superior game in all respects, so just why would you ever try and change it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why you dropped the bit at the end, because that's just objective fact. Then we've got Alvis Thundercake says, if Lewis was to host an event that includes rivers, what rules would you add for combat that take place in the river? Perhaps a boost to spears, or maybe you must use a hand weapon unless it's a spear.
Oh, interesting. What rules would you have in place in the river?
I think nothing like that at all from my perspective, because then it feels like we're getting into like too much leaning towards realism, where it's like, well, in this situation we need this to work. I think it would maybe be a case of whoever's higher up the river gets +1 combat res or something as they're being pushed into the enemy, but also if they lose combat, they flee -2 away from their opponents because they're fleeing up the stream, or some sort of like, you just take the normal system and then you give it a little boost as to what you have previously.
Yeah, I think you'd maybe take away rank bonuses. Difficult to stay ranked up in moving water.
Well, you wouldn't even need to do that, because if you're in terrain, you're already disrupted.
Oh, well, that's a good point. So they've already taken it into account. Look, they've already solved this problem for us in the excellent Old World rules. I think you would also have a risk of people getting washed away, which would be fun, or eaten by crocodiles, or perhaps even eaten by massive wagtails. That sort of swoop down and just grab combatants out of units and take them away whilst continuing to wag their tails.
Entropy, thank you very much for the 13 months of subscription. Really appreciate that. They say maybe the rivers could be made of soup. Gazpacho, obviously, because I'm not heating rivers. As someone who has to pay their own electricity bill, I understand how much it costs to heat a house, never mind a fast-flowing, wide, river that would be... The heat would disappear far too quickly. It'd be very difficult to get along with. So yeah, gazpacho soup I could see being the way to go there. Lovely. Well, I think I've gone through all of the rubbish that I wanted to talk about. Have you got any rubbish you want to talk about?
I don't think so. I think if you could all buy a ticket to the Fantasy Slam in 7th of Feb, that would be great. You might even get yourself on stream.
Hell yeah.
That would be very exciting. And I may not kill you with Thai food on a Saturday night. So I think if you needed another reason to come, then I think that would be about it.
Amazing. All right. Well, it's been